Welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast. We are here today with our special guest, Gillian White. Gillian is an initiated priestess, international soul coaching trainer, Feng Shui Master, energy healer, a midwife to wisdom, and a natural witch. She has an innate ability to unleash one's own soul magic. It is Gillian's journey to support one in remembering their heart song and to live a passion-filled, inspired, harmonious, and joyful life. Come join Gillian in remembering your magical self. And I was very lucky. I got to meet you at the Banff Wellness Retreat, and you just have such an amazing soul. So I'm so grateful that you're able to join us here today.
Well, I feel so honored to be here and to be invited to talk about magic with you beautiful sisters. So what a gift.
It is really a gift. I know when Kim came back from seeing you, she says, Mom, you're going to see this girl. I do then.
I really am grateful for that, because over the years of teaching, I've learned that I'm going to just show up as I am. And not everyone always appreciates it. But over the years, no matter how I showed up, people are going to have a different perspective or opinion. So I just learned, well, I might as well just show up as I am, because I can't please everyone. And so when it actually lands with someone, I celebrate that, because you are getting me and you are seeing and hearing and honoring me. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, it was such a nice connection, and just the different rituals and things we did were so beautiful, and really reminded me of who I am as a person authentically, that I had kind of forgotten. So I appreciate that from you, because I had kind of forgotten some parts of me that I really needed to bring back in the magical parts. So
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, I love hearing that, because that's my intention doing this work, is just to inspire or help people remember their magic, and then stepping into that power unapologetically. Here I am, and shining your truth, your soul's truth. That's sort of my intention when I'm teaching.
do you want to tell us a little bit about your journey, how you got here?
Yeah, and I've had people ask me this before, and it's hard for me to put into words. You know what? I was born in a very in-between world. I am of mixed race, and at the time in the 70s, it wasn't the popular thing, right? My mom's of African descent and my dad's white Scottish, and it was not a very common thing. So I was born into the world of sort of in between, not knowing where I fit into this world, and then my life just sort of followed that path of in between. I'm very connected to spirit, the in between world, and I always had beautiful angels or guides who talked to me when I was younger. I always had a sense about people. I knew people before they knew themselves. I knew when to avoid certain people in my life. They'd have a certain smell, and I thought, oh, that has a bad smell. And that guided me as a young child. And so I was always guided, and from the in-between world, not knowing really what it is, because I was raised in a Christian faith base. And so there was no real words for it. It just was who I was. I thought I had a very vivid imagination. I love to dream and visualize all these kind of ways. And I dreamt of a rainbow family, and I kind of created that for myself now as an adult. But I didn't really realize what I was. Not that I needed a name for it. I was really comfortable with the relationship I had with spirit and with my soul and my own guidance. It was a witch. It's this set place of knowing. And for me, a witch is a person that has a beautiful relationship with the outer world, whatever that is, above and below, with nature. And then it just landed. So my soul, long story short, my inner knowing always led me to different experiences, and that's even teachings, and that helped me on my soul's path. So that's from Feng Shui, and then from healing work and to soul coaching and witchery, which sort of blends into it all. That's sort of an essence of what I am, just to put a word on it, kind of thing. I don't know if I answered your question, but how did I get here?
You did.
Yeah, you did. And I like that, like, because we've been following on social media and things like that, and noticed that you like are so much about the sisterhood and just making women realize, well, you call yourself the wild tribe, I believe it is. And it's beautiful, right? Because it's just so much about just bringing out that power of women, which I love.
Well, for me, for the world is off balanced, and for it to be balanced, we need some deep healing, and we need to raise that vibration up. Isn't there a book or something about half the ceiling or something? I can't remember, but really it's half of the planet holding power, and it's important, it's vital for us to move forward in peace and harmony, is that we raise that vibration where women can come together and know that we're not against each other, we truly are sisters. And the more we gather and hold space for each other, we're actually like the hub of, I find, the home. And as Mother Earth, we're the hub of the home of even Mother Earth. And not really fully, but you know what I mean? Just once we are healthy and balanced, we can bring that balance outwardly. So within our family and our community, and that balance rises up. That's my vibe. So I love empowering people. I love seeing people stepping into their wildness and their power.
Yeah, it is nice to see that. And like, that was one thing with us when we started this podcast, was like, let's empower people to find out, who you are, what you like, what avenues serve you. Because we don't always know what is out there for us and where we need to be going down those paths. So it's great to do these retreats, and we have this opportunity to have a podcast to put that out to people.
I love that part. And sorry, go ahead.
I like too that we're all, what it does is teaching spiritually, that we don't have to get stuck in one place of spirituality. We have all these different essences that we can walk into, and so all the different people that come on the show on that show you that you can touch in on these things, experience them, see if it really is your essence of where you want to travel to, and we're hoping that it touches them in the deepest spots of where they need to go for their future. Because like you said, us being in with touch with other women and that, we're just saying, hey, hello, we can do this. We can raise the energy, us women, and hopefully some guys will join us too. But I mean, at some point, us women are getting stronger and stronger, and it's nice to be able to do that with all of this. So yes,
I love that. I love that. And that for me is the purpose of life, is to explore, to play, to try things on, fill it out, see how it lands. We're multifaceted. We are not linear. We're supposed to be growing and learning until we die, and then we start all over again. It is about experience, and for you to create this offering where people can, in a safe place, even because it can be fearful trying these new things on, and you're creating the space, you're like, oh, I never thought about that way, or hearing someone else speak. And this is why I like gathering in groups, right? Because when someone's speaking their truth, they're probably sharing a truth that someone else needed to hear, and they're like, oh, I never looked at it that way. So I think it's just, it's vital for a beautiful human experience.
It really is.
And so that we don't have to carry things into the next lifetime, honestly.
Right? Yeah, if I could leave some of the stuff behind, I would be okay with that.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know. I just did a full moon ritual for myself. I made my husband make me a little fire out in the backyard. I'm like, could you make me a little fire in the backyard? Like a 15-minute fire is all I need just to do my thing. He's like, sure. So I did that. And then I came in and I said to him, I said, what's really funny? The wood was in the shape of a pentacle. So how meant to be was that?
No kidding, was it ever?
So I felt very blessed that he had put that love into it, begrudgingly.
So you're saying that he created that for you within
Yeah.
the fire.
Yeah.
You know, that's so beautiful. And that is a perfect example of the power of when we are in our truth, that creates wholeness within ourselves. And we speak that truth. And then someone else who might be a little bit resistant, or they're like, oh, I'm not too sure about this. But because you're in this space of love, because that's what it is, being in our soul's truth, it's a space of love. You're allowing them to rise up and maybe play with that unknown, that, ooh, I'm not too sure, but it's creating more of a safe space for them. And a safe space is a sacred space. So he was able to give that offering to you and actually open something within himself because of your essence of stepping into.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. It was
cool.
really neat. Actually, I was like, wow, exactly. Mind blown.
Well, it is. And that shows you the power of healing thyself. Know thyself. It's all about your world, what's here, nothing outwardly. It's no expectation of anyone else being anything but themselves. So when you're here rising up in yourself and speaking your truth, it just creates space for other people to do the same thing. Not us changing anyone, just us honoring all aspects of ourselves. I don't know. I just find it fascinating, juicy, and I love it all.
Yes. Well, there's so much of the world to explore, right? And I've seen that you offer all these trips for all these to magical places to find your inner self and just to experience that. And I think that's so wonderful. Do you want to tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, so I've been taking women on a trip. Yeah, it's sort of funny, like my world, my life, the way this job, I guess it's a job that I do, it just sort of fell in my lap. It was just me learning, and then spirit guided me and I start offering things, and it went that way. And that's sort of with these trips to Ireland that I was doing. Right now I'm going to Iceland. And for me, it was I've already been to Ireland. I don't know why I was drawn to going to Ireland, because we have Scottish roots. We never knew of Irish roots. However, my soul guided me to Ireland, and not just your normal southern part where a lot of people tend to go. It's a little bit more touristy. I was drawn to go to the northwest part of Ireland. Again, not too sure. No, but I followed it. I followed my soul, because my soul always knows. So I went there, and later on I did the 23andMe, that DNA testing thing, and fascinating, but not, here we are. I have Irish roots, and they landed in Sligo, which is this area, and Donegal in Northwest Ireland.
Wow.
So it's more about my journey. And so I thought, wow, I love it so much. I want to share this with others, and for them to touch the magic. And there's a lot of magic in Ireland, where the stories are written in the land still. The folklore are still taught in schools. You go to a grocery store and you ask, oh, where's this fairy glen? And they're like, oh, just up around the bend here. You know, it's very present in their everyday life. So there's so much magic in Ireland. But I just love too also how your soul guides you to places where you can reconnect to your roots. So I just wanted to share that with others, and that's how it happened.
Oh, that's
Nice.
amazing. No, that's really
Nice. And now Iceland.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm drawn to Iceland. So maybe there's some roots there. It's just, again, something that fell in my lap. And I'm one of those people, I'm like, sure, I'm working with this company. They're like, well, do you want to go to Iceland? I'm like, oh, I never really thought about it. Sure. I'm always about saying yes. And we'll see where it takes me. So I'll let you know next podcast.
Absolutely.
What happened in Iceland?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hopefully one of these times we'll be able to join you and experience that.
that would be
Well, I can tell you, it's always a hoot. Yeah, and a little fun and trouble.
Right. Well, that's the perfect mixture.
It
I
is a
think.
perfect mixture. Yes, it is. You know, you got to keep that little bit of spice in there. It doesn't matter at what age you are or whatever else in life you have to have that magic and that spice.
You do have to have that. So
Absolutely, no matter what age. And as I'm cusping on the crone age adventure of my life, we have just begun. Honestly, this is where, would you find that like entering this age is like, before, I hope I can swear, but, where you just don't give a flying, what.
Yeah,
It's just, you really don't. Life is
Yeah.
short. And you're like, you know what? I just don't care. And I can just live full-heartedly. And so we should unapologetically.
I loved when you said that, living unapologetically yourself. And I was just like, I adopted that when I came home. I'm just like, I absolutely love that. There's so much power with that, that you just, yeah, you can just show up as yourself and be down what anybody thinks, right?
That's
Like,
true. That's
here
true.
I am.
Well, and they're going to think of something no matter what. And like I said, like when I would teach classes in a lot of groups, at one time, I just wanted to please everybody. I am a people pleaser, and I still am. I value people. I want them to feel good and loved. But in the end, I learned I try to be what I thought everybody wanted me to be. And then it left me feeling very depleted, right? So that's not me being true to who I am.
Nope.
And I really realized that every person, they're going to have a different view of who I am through their own genetic makeup, through their own life experiences. They're all going to have a different perspective. Just as, you will have a different perspective of what abundance is. It'll be different for me. So for me to create something in my home, like an altar around abundance, I can't make it around what it means for you. I have to make it around what it means for me. And so I just learned it's best I show up as I am. And in the end, it's all about me. And it's a positive for me, and then if it resonates with them, well, that's icing on the cake.
That's very
That's
true.
what you
Yeah.
get. And it's easy actually to keep up, you don't have to, well, who was I before in that class? And, I'm just, here I am.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. I find with me lately, I'm really after people's truths, and it's like I can see body movement within them, trying to figure out their truths upon meeting and talking to them. And when you watch body language and you combine that with your spiritual stuff, it's quite interesting because you can see the story playing out in front of you as it's happening.
Right.
And it's
Oh,
really been
fascinating.
prominent with me this last little bit. It's like, whoa, that's like watching a little movie right there.
It is.
And it's just people and how they're receiving each other and how they're working with each other. It's pretty cool. But sometimes it's like, really, you just did that, right?
Whoa.
Yeah.
It is. It's fascinating. You can, just the energy of people and how they play. And, it's just, wouldn't it be nice if we just create that space for them to be in the space that they're in, that energy space that they're in. And then I'm this energy and see how that beautiful dance can weave within each other and inspire each other. But if we show up with that resistance or that wall up, or, you feel that, right? You feel that, you can see it playing.
Yeah, you really can. And I just find I'm going into situations lately just a little more open, right? A little protected, because I don't
Still have
want
to do that.
I still don't want people's energy a little bit too much into my bubble, but
Yes, isn't
Yeah.
that the case? I have to remind myself this is not mine and shoo
Yeah.
it
Don't
away.
you ever. Yeah.
Release that.
She reminded me of the day Mom just swipe it away, swipe it away. Oh yeah.
Well,
Okay.
we are energy, right? And our energy is quite large, and we're easily influenced by outside energies and people's energies and home energies. And actually that's why actually I did Feng Shui many, many years ago, because I wanted to create a sacred space for when I'm out in the world, and no matter how much protection you do, we're still going to be influenced by what's going on in the chaos. It's nice to come home to a place that's with a fixed vibration of my intention, like an intention of harmony, for calm, for magic. And so when I leave the chaos of the world, I come home, my body, my soul doesn't have to work as much. My energy is just gets placed into the already fixed state that I've created for myself.
Yeah.
But we are so easily influenced, aren't we, by outside sources.
It can be a little more sticky than we think too sometimes, right? Or sticking to us. So yeah, you're right. You have to have that safe space to come back to and just feel, now this feels.
I think it's vital, especially if you're in this work. And all humans, because we're mostly water, we are intuitive and we are all feeling. We're never a fixed state. We're always in motion, because that's what water is. But there's people like, yourselves doing this work, doing this healing work, our energies are heightened. We're more sensitive to other people's. You're able to witness other people's energies in action. So we're more vulnerable. I don't care who it is. It can be a master of all, but you're not a master protector. Like we are always fluid and moving. So yeah, again, it's vital that you create a space that's supportive for you to take care of your essence.
Yeah,
Very well put.
absolutely.
Yeah, very well put. That's true.
And
Very
we've
true.
always liked the idea of the feng shui too, right? And having a well, for myself, I'm cluttered, and right now it's really funny because I just the other day was looking around. I'm like, geez, everything's really cluttered. So I'm like, no wonder I'm, banging up against myself, because I've now moved too many things into my space and I can't breathe, kind of almost. So, it's calling back to me, and it's like, okay, I need to clear some things out and get rid. And I'm all about getting rid of things that don't serve us anymore, or, that I read something just recently, and it was like, if you have something that somebody gave you that isn't a part of your life anymore, sometimes it's better to get rid of that object because of the energy cord attachment to that object. So I was really kind of looking around my house and doing a lot of soul searching about, yeah, okay, I think I can get rid of that now, right? Because I've been holding on to that, but I didn't. Would you?
That is feng shui. Everything carries a vibration, right? So there's like either yin energy, softer, quieter moving energy, and then yang, busier kind of energy, sort of like metal or fire. It's a busier energy, and then yin's more of a soft, like water or woods kind of energy. And not one thing is not affecting you. It's either affecting you negative or positive, and it's rarely neutral. So you're right, like there's certain items in your home, so you can have a beautiful picture of you and your family, right? And everyone's smiling, the hair is like on point. However, despite it looking amazing, if there was a fight just before that picture was taken, it has the memory, it has the vibration of that fight. So when you see it, you're reminded of that fight. Or like you said, a gift, if someone gave it to you that from a past relationship that's no longer in your life and not the most uplifting energy anymore, it carries that vibration. It brings you back to that past memory, right? It's almost bringing you back to the past, and it's not here in the present and what's supporting you where you're at right now. So yeah, clutter isn't just like, so some feng shui practitioners would say my home's cluttered for them, right? But it's all, it depends on what feeds your soul. Like for me, prosperity would be different, or clutter would be different, right? Kind of thing. So all these have meaning and purpose in my life that are uplifting. So that's good energy. But if it doesn't have purpose or meaning, or if you don't use it, if you don't love it, it's clutter.
Absolutely.
Get rid of it, man. I love that you're doing that.
Yeah. Well, it's really funny because we raise our granddaughter, and so when she first came to live with us, she had so much stuff and things that didn't fit her, and I'm like, honey, like you can't hold on to this stuff. So we have it in our closet, a no thank you box. So when you're done with something, no judgment, doesn't matter if I bought it for you last month, no thank you, I don't want this anymore, I'm going to put it into the box. Now other family sometimes comes and takes that out, or we donate it once it's been sat there for long enough, right? Just to get that energy out, to realize just because when we bought that fabulous shirt
and loved it
right? Months later we don't love it, and it doesn't suit who we are anymore, right? Because we're always so fluid changing.
Yeah. Right? Oh my gosh, that is so brilliant. I might have to steal that from you.
Absolutely.
Box. I freaking love that. It's brilliant. And that gives, I love that you're teaching that to her. You're giving her permission to let go. And that is one of the essential teachings in moving into a space of wholeness, is being able to let go, whatever that is. Stop hanging on to shit. Wow, I love that so much. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, and you can absolutely take it. It's just a night. For me, it was, it was things you listen and hear and things, and it was like, yeah, no, thank you, I don't want that anymore.
I mean, it's nice to share, you know, and it's really, and we enjoy coming in because I mean, she buys new things, and it's like, I'll take that. I could probably alter that and make that fit me real nice. You know, so it works real well for everybody.
It does. It's like give and take.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
The only rule is you can't bring it back.
No, that's right. No, thank you.
Once that leaves with you, that stays with you.
Well, and that's life. We're supposed to be always in motion. It's never stagnant. And when it's stagnant, oh my word, that's where you're getting the repetitive heaviness over and over again. We need to learn to let go and then receive and let go. It's a ebb and flow of life. But some people just want to hang on and hang on, hang on. It is exhausting.
It is exhausting. And it puts you in a not a good frame of mind too, if it's been hanging around for too long. I mean, we shared clothes over the years, lots, and you know, so I mean, it's sort of just something you do, right? Give it up.
Well, and I think too, it's also, I was just thinking, my daughter, she pretty much only buys vintage, and what a gift that is to even our planet, you know, reusing and recycling, and that's a cycle again, you know, not a throwaway thing either. It's appreciation and gratitude, and yeah, I think it's great. I love it. That's feng shui base right there.
There you go. Excellent. I'm halfway there.
You're doing it.
So do you do rituals and things like that, like with what you who you are, sort of thing? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, yeah, my life is actually probably a living ritual. Like, you know, we gather for sure with the women once a month, my wild sister tribe once a month, and we celebrate the seasons and we take note, oh, what's going on in the wheel of the year right now. So right now we're entering summer, so it's a lot of action energy, fire energy. So I work around that. But me as a person, my own way of living, this is a daily life, and ritual can be infused into the simplest of making your bed. And it's all about intention. It's bringing magic and intention into even the mundane. So when I'm cooking, I do my best to cook, and I always stir clockwise, you know, and do it with intention and love. I try not to cook when I'm sick or angry, because you're infusing that energy into your space. So for me, it is a way of life. I try to live with intention every moment, because I know what I'm living right now was what I created in my past. So it was my intentions, it was my thoughts, it was my actions are right now, what's happening right now. So right now, I know what I'm doing in this moment is what exactly how I would be feeling in the future. So I really, yeah. So like rituals, like spell work, yeah, like magic is actually bringing your intention, what you're dreaming, and you're bringing it into the physical. You're sort of grounding it into the here and now. You're putting action into it, and you're grounding it. So that can be anything from creating an altar and lighting a candle. So I'm lighting a candle with an intention, what I'm bringing into my life, kind of thing. So yeah, it's continual. In fact, actually, I have a free offering where I offer people, I send a free ritual that they can do once a week for themselves, just to get them into that practice of tuning in, connecting, and realigning to what are you calling into your life. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, that's very nice. And that's a wonderful offering. And I jumped on that.
Oh, you did? Oh,
yes. Because I love things that you can get to just enhance your life and empower yourself more, right? And that has been a calling for me since I was a young girl. I remember going to the library and reading about witches and reading about witchcraft, because it intrigued me, and I was always kind of called to like herbs and things like that. So when I realized, I was like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense for me of who I am. And that's why I say when I went to your class, I was like, oh yeah, I'm home. This is perfect.
I love it.
Yeah. And you're right. Like that ritual of just doing things and is important and with intention.
Yeah, it is.
Well, and that, for me, and now it's interesting. I've never actually been popular. In the last little bit, I'm like, oh, when did I become mainstream? It was very like, when I started Feng Shui, people were like, oh, what's this Feng Shui? Or that's what they call it,
Yeah.
because they didn't know, or energy work, or even witchery. They're like, ooh, what
Yeah.
is that? And oh, you work with the devil, just
Yeah.
ridiculous things like that. But now it's becoming quite popular. But I'm finding that people are getting stuck on the idea it's about the spell work. I find that's actually not the base of it. It's the connection. It's weaving a relationship with the natural world around you. And that's even with your home, but that's with the elements of air, fire, water, and earth and spirit, right? I did say the 5.
You did well.
And that is, you'll see that around the world in the different traditions and beliefs, all about going back to the elements and what's nature doing. So it's building that relationship with them. And when you have that relationship, and a legitimate relationship, they support you. They bring you power to your magic. And that's where your life just flows with such ease and grace. And you're guided to opportunities like, oh, do you want to go to Iceland? I'm like, sure. I don't know why, but I know Spirit's guiding me there, right? Because I've built that relationship. And they're like, oh, I know Gillian, and I know what she'll need for the next step in her journey. So I find, to be a witch, yes, play, experience, because that's how we learn about ourselves and how we work, and building that relationship. It's not about the 8 Sabbats of the year, it's every day, and it's not just the full moon or the new moon, it's every phase of the moon, because she is powerful in all her phases, right?
Yeah.
And that is the path of a witch, is to know thyself, but to know and build a relationship with nature, which is thyself, actually. Because there's no separation.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's one of my favorite things. Like, we love camping, which is, it's just funny how things in life happen, right? Because before I would have been like, camping? I don't think so.
That's true.
And now we go camping just about every weekend, and I love it because I can sit out in nature and I can listen to the birds singing, and I can, hear the rustling of the leaves. And sometimes my granddaughter's like, how can you just sit there? So it's boring. And I'm like, but listen to the leaves, listen to the birds, listen, what else can you hear? Because there's so much magic out there if we just, slow down. And I love the grounding of the feeling the earth underneath my bare feet. So camping works for me. I mean, I do have an RV. I'm not that camping.
I like that camping too.
That's why I call it camping. Sleeping in the ground thing. No, it's not worth it. Is there anything else you want to share with us that so you think that the viewers would really like to know, or would you think that would inspire them so much?
Oh my goodness. Let me think. That's a big question.
It is a big question.
I guess sort of where our conversation's been leading us, or led us, is about play, be curious, lean in and listen to that intuition, that whisper within. I find too often people feel called to, let's say, sign up for something, and then they talk themselves out of it, or they feel called to take a different route and they don't. If they take the normal route, but all of a sudden they're like, oh, maybe I should try a different way to work. And they don't. So I really encourage people to go back to that first thought, because the first thought is usually your soul's, your intuition, your guidance, your inner guidance calling you. And that for me has led me to the most beautiful journey in life. People always say, oh, you're so lucky. I'm like, I'm not lucky. I have the same thing that you have. You're just not listening. And it's about having faith, taking that leap of faith and trusting that inner guidance. It's scary, but once you start doing it, it just gets easier. And even when you're unsure, a lot of what I do is still, the path isn't clear. I just heard a voice and I go do it. I met my husband, first date, sat down. I have to tell you, at first, he was not my type usually that I would date. Spirit told me, and I sat down and I heard the voice, you're done. And that was it. It's as simple as a voice, and it's not complicated. And that's your soul speaking. And it can lead you to the most magical life. Not saying that life doesn't happen. And I want to make that very clear. When we're on this path, it doesn't make life stop happening. Life can be ugly, but that's part of the human experience. So lean into that human experience. People get sick. That's part of the human experience. Nothing that you created. Just lean into it. And it's about having these experiences, but how can we lead through it with ease and grace? And again, that's going back to your soul's truth. And it'll lead you through the chaos with ease and grace.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, like it's just nice to have something that shows you're different from the rest, sort of thing, and people can be inspired to go follow you and things like that from your visions. And that's part of what we're trying to share with this is your vision too.
Oh, well, that's really nice.
Yes.
I appreciate that. Pardon?
And speaking of that, where can people find you?
Oh, probably everywhere. I'm sick of myself. I seem to be everywhere these days. Online, I have a website, it's Gillian White, but we can share that later. But yeah, I'm sort of everywhere. I'm on Insight Timer app, on Instagram, it just seems to be the way of the world, and Facebook. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm so sick of all the social media, but I have to say I've been blessed. I've met so many beautiful people online, and maybe it's just my intention to put that out there and actually make authentic connections. It actually has been a fun, interesting journey. Interesting for sure.
It has.
But
I agree. And that's one thing that I've loved for us with this podcast is we've met so many amazing people, like you being one of them, and just really genuine souls that you can connect with, and then you don't know where it's going to lead you in life and down your path, right? So it's I love it.
And it leaves us so filled at the end of a podcast talking to someone like yourself, because you're sharing all your blessings with us too. And so it's filling us up with all this beautiful white light and energy that we're hoping we're sending back to you. So that cares with you during the day, sort of thing, to uplift you and make you feel good for the rest of your day. And that's what the podcast is supposed to be about too.
Well, I feel that, and I really honor you and appreciate you for creating this safe space. And again, I said before, a safe space is a sacred space. And I thank you for sharing this sacred space with others to share their truths. And I think it's such a gift.
Thank you. We're glad that we can do it. So,
just taking us by the hand and just walking us down the right roads.
Yeah, because when we first started, it was like, oh, is this going to go anywhere? And then it just kind of, it
calling us back.
So, and you just keep reaching out. And in the beginning, I was like, because I do a lot of the reaching out. So it's
she's wonderful. She's wonderful.
I'm like, oh, can I do that? Like what makes them want to be on ours? And then people say yes, and you're like, oh, really? Oh, this is awesome.
Yes.
And it's just so nice to be able to share that and do, like, for me, it's such a creative collaboration. And that's like one of my affirmations that I actually do have in my room that I say every day, that I'm constantly stepping into creative collaborations, because I think that just makes our world so magical.
Oh, I love that. And you're right. There's so much power in the collaborations. And it actually, you just speaking about, you're reaching out to people and they say yes. Well, they're saying yes because of both of your vibration. They can feel that magic within you. But it also reminds me, when we were saying, oh, we're so surprised they would come to me, this person, and that saying, you spot it, you got it. And a lot of times yeah, I know. And we always focus on the negative, or like, oh, I see that not negative thing in that person, that must be me. But we also have to honor when we see the positive in another, because when we see that beauty, that wisdom, that magic in another person, you got it.
Yeah.
Same way.
True.
That's perfect. I like
that. That's you out there.
Well, thank you. I will take that with me.
Me too. Me too.
Well, it's been so wonderful having you on the podcast. We're grateful you can join, and we'd love to have you back again, because I'm sure you have lots more to tell us about your journeys and stuff as you go to Iceland. And Ireland and all the places you're being called to go. So
Yeah, true. Because I find that when you talk about these visions and you do them too, what it does is it inspires other people that listens to the podcast to build that dream and to follow it through.
Yeah, totally. I love that. Ditto.
Thanks.
so thank you so much for joining us today. And we're very grateful that you could join us. So
Very cool.
And thank you for having me. This was beautiful. I enjoyed my time with you.
Please come back to us again.
Absolutely.
yeah, and we'll drop all your information of where people can find you in our show notes. So
you can map it out for me. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay,
we'll see you on YouTube.
Yeah,
Yes, right.
And hope everybody enjoyed. I know you did, because she's got amazing energy.
Beautiful
and
energy.
We will see you next week.
You bet we will. Thank you very much for joining us. Thanks very much, Gillian.